Alright guys, so we've been through the Sonic Rush Trilogy, we've been through the Classic Sonic Trilogy, we've been through the Sonic Advance Trilogy, we've been through the Sonic Adventure Trilogy. Man, I'm running out of trilogies. I don't know what to do at this point, aside from, oh, look at that, I'm gonna jump ship to a different franchise and maybe talk about one of the most influential games of all time. And it's two sequels that are actually a lot better. Don't tell me Miyamoto I said that. Before we start this video, I just wanted to say I'm actually from the future, and this video is fantastic, so you should definitely keep watching. And I'd also like to give a huge thank you to today's sponsor, Skillshare. Skillshare is an online community where you can learn things that you're actually interested in, as opposed to whatever they might be teaching you in school right now. You see, knowledge is power, and it can also be fun when you're learning things that aren't going to go in one ear, out the other as soon as you leave a classroom. Luckily for you, Skillshare is just the place to discover videos on basically any topic that you wish to explore. I, for one, am a big fan of the creative writing courses and anything that has to do with film and video creation. And you know, I kind of figured that if there were some people out there trying to do this whole YouTube thing, you might find some interest in that as well. If you're looking for something specifically YouTube related, you could check out YouTube Success, Script, Shoot, and Edit with Marcus Brownlee. This video is a very detailed look on creating scripted YouTube content, much like what I usually do, as opposed to this video where I'm actually not writing too much out. But I did write out this ad, so there you go. And if you're worried about ads polluting your think space while you're trying to grow that brain of yours, don't you worry, because Skillshare's main goal is for you to learn, so there are no ads in sight. If you're interested in Skillshare, you can go click my link in the description below. There it is on screen as well, pointing downwards to the description. And the first 1,000 of you who decide to join up and start learning get a full free month of Skillshare to check out whatever you want. And you know guys, a month is like 730 hours, and that is a lot of time to learn things. You might end up looking like this. But, you know, it's a good look, so it's fine. I hope you end up giving Skillshare a shot, and with that, I'm going to transport myself back to the future onto the video. What do I keep on telling you? I keep saying that you should click the subscribe button, click the bell icon, the like button, literally every button on the page, because they all help me a lot and I appreciate it. And what do you keep doing? Well, clearly you listen to me, because my subscriber versus not subscriber percent is actually in a pretty good spot right now, so thank you very much for doing that. And if you want to go the extra mile today, you could always click up in the top corner of the screen, except I'm pointing the wrong way, please flip me. And you can see my live playthroughs of today's games. And don't worry, they're gonna be as spontaneous and ridiculous as this video. Hey guys, it's Garrulous64, and today, you heard right, we are going to be talking about the Super Mario Bros. Trilogy. Now that I've revealed the topic and you've clicked on the video, you might be saying, oh man, I only watch this channel for Sonic content. Well, guess what? This is actually related to your Sonic history lesson, because without these games, Sonic the Hedgehog would not exist. So thank the man, thank him right now! That's not a joke, by the way. This is actually a thing that the creators of Sonic have said. They used to try and play the first level of Mario like as fast as possible. That inspired the idea of making a game where your main directive is to go fast. So, I mean, if you don't watch the video now, then what kind of Sonic historian are you? Alright, I'm turning off the passive aggression now. They don't need it, because I'm talking about something I really enjoy. And in fact, I enjoy this series so much that I'm actually doing something that I don't ever do. Basically, when I make these videos, I spend a whole lot of time writing down everything I'm going to say, and then I'm having some people check it over sometimes, not usually because I'm very lazy. And then I stand up here, and I read things off my phone, and you probably have seen me holding my phone in certain scenes, and it's because I don't have a very good memory. This time, however, I am going to do this entire video with no script, and you might be saying, wow, doesn't that mean you're just going to be saying, and ooh, and just kind of stalling for time while you think of things? Why, yes, that's exactly what I'm going to do, and that's what I'm doing right now. But I have a feeling this is going to lead to something a little bit more interesting than if I were to write out my thoughts, because when I write, I tend to repeat myself a lot, and I have to end up cutting things out. But now, I'm just going to talk about Mario in the way that I want to, because Mario completes me. I think it's appropriate to start from the point before Mario existed. So in this BM period, we are back in 1981 with the release of Donkey Kong for the arcade. Or the arcade. It's like there's just one of them, apparently. I would have been pretty busy. Mario, or Jumpman, was the main protagonist of this game, who was fighting Donkey Kong, who was the titular Donkey Kong at the top of this little girder thing. Supposed to be a construction site, I think, but also, I guess they live in the Looney Tunes universe. After this game proved to be a gigantic success, Mario would branch out with his brother Luigi to start attacking creatures in the local sewers for fun. And during one of these sewer escapades, the brothers would find themselves going down the wrong pipe and ending up in a mystical land filled with blocks and baddies. Truly every plumber's nightmare. Look at that pipe, it's got a, carnivorous plant in it. It's at this point that the Mario Brothers say, oh well, might as well just keep going with it, and they run to the end of 8 different lands to save a princess whom they have never met before. Or maybe they have, because Mario canon is confusing, doesn't exist, and also exists at the same time. That is one thing that Sonic and Mario have in common. They just cannot get the lore of their franchises right, and it doesn't matter most of the time. Now, this game was one of the biggest deals of all time. Like, video games weren't huge back then, but Nintendo came around, they were like, Donkey Kong, and people were like, yeah! And then they were like, Mario Bros, and people were like, yeah! And then they were like, Super Mario Bros, and then people were like, hell yeah! But honestly, I'm not actually a huge fan of Super Mario Bros 1. So, I don't know if people are gonna be mad at me about that, but I think it is a very repetitive and soul-crushing experience that I don't really enjoy playing. Granted, on my revisit for this video, I didn't have a miserable time playing the game. I just kind of went through it, playing it super casually, super casual bros. And once I got a game over and I tried to use like the start from the same world code, it didn't work, and I was like, alright, you know what? I think I've had my fill. The game's not super long anyway. I mean, I think I probably have like 15-something minutes of footage. It's probably only like a 20, 30-something minute game. I've already seen the entire game. It's pretty much the same throughout the whole runtime because, of course, it's on the NES, and it's only an 8-bit game. You can only fit so much inside these 8 little bits. Obviously, your main goal in this game is to run to the right, jump over things, and then also kill things when you're not able to progress without doing so. You can do this by jumping up into the air and stomping down on the competition like the worms they are. I didn't mean it, Goomba. You're actually really, really nice. The bros are also able to pick up a fire flower, which gives them amazing fire powers. They could just like make a fireball just like that and just poof, and throw it directly into the competition's face, and I'm sure that's a lot worse than being stepped on. One of those things is something that people ask for, and the other is a crime. There are 8 worlds to go through in Super Mario Bros. And 4 levels per world. Each level looks pretty similar to one another. There's usually like a brick land level, there's an underground level or an underwater level. Then there might be one that's like up on like these mushroom platforms or treetops or whatever they're supposed to be. It's really hard to define these things on the NES. I give them props for what they were able to do. Except for the fact they didn't think we would notice that that bush is the exact same sprite as that cloud? Come on, what did I pay for on this totally legal copy of the game I played for this video? I do own the game, I'm just not going to show it to you because I don't think you deserve to see it. My big complaint with this one is that I don't really love the controls and the fact that there's no saving, but obviously, you know, it's another limitation and you gotta look at things from the perspective of back then. But also, if I want to have fun right now, I'm probably not going to play this version. I'm going to play one of the enhanced ports that I'll talk about in just a sec. The other thing I don't like about this game is that it's pretty samey the whole way through. There's not really a lot of variation in the level design. It's very just left to right with some occasional jumping. And of course, that eventually leads to 8 fights with Bowser that are only slightly different from one another. So it's kind of like, okay, been there, done that. What about these newer ones? So you see, Nintendo used to do this cool thing where, like, they actually cared about the games that they released. So, back on the SNES, which is the Super Nintendo Entertainment System for those who need to know, they made Super Mario All-Stars, not to be confused with Super Mario 3D All-Stars, the game that I am being spiteful towards. Super Mario All-Stars is a collection of Super Mario Bros. 1, Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels, which we'll talk about in a second, Super Mario Bros. 2 USA, Super Mario Bros. 3, and, if you have the good version, Super Mario World. That is the best version of Mario World. I will bet my life on that. Luigi is really cool looking, and that's my only reasoning. These aren't simple ports, however. They are actually fully remade for the system, and in almost every case, they are superior to the original. For Super Mario Bros., however, I think they actually made it a little bit worse in terms of how the game plays. Like, sure, it's a little bit less weird. It's like, you know, it's NES weird, not anything I can describe in words, I guess. But in the SNES version, when you jump into a block from below as Big Mario, Super Mario, you kind of just go through it, and it doesn't have a lot of resistance, and it kind of like takes away all of your momentum. And that's pretty different from how it is in the original, because it wasn't bad. So that's pretty much why I don't like playing this port of the game. Otherwise, I don't really like the graphical style of this. It looks a little strange. Not for me. If you want to play a pretty good port of this game, though, you can check out Super Mario Bros. Deluxe on the Game Boy Color. Usually when you port a console game to a handheld, at least in the past, it would cause a lot of problems because, you know, maybe there wouldn't be as many buttons, the screen size is a lot smaller, so it's harder to see some things, leading to screen crunch. We've seen that in some Sonic games in the past. Some other third thing. But Super Mario Bros. Deluxe actually does a really clever thing with this. Deluxe still has these screen crunch issues, but to make up for this, they broke an essential law of reality. You're actually able to move backwards a little bit in Super Mario Bros. 1 because they're giving you the same amount of room that you had on the original screen to work with. That way you don't get totally screwed over as soon as you start the game. So that's neat. There's also a whole bunch of extra content in the game, like You versus Boo that I didn't record any footage of because I forgot, but it's basically just Boo and you racing, and maybe I'll get some footage after this. If you're lucky, if you're good. Basically, this is my preferred version of this game, and if you want to play any version of SMB1, I would say do this one. But if we can talk about something that's actually really good now, actually we can't because we have to talk about the real Super Mario Bros. 2 first. Shit! Alright, so Super Mario Bros. 2 has a different meaning depending on where you lived at the time it was released. Because in Japan, Super Mario Bros. 2 released, and it was basically Super Mario Bros. 1 again, except a ton more difficult. This game was so difficult, in fact, that it was deemed to be too much for us simple Americans, and we just never got the game until way later in Super Mario All-Stars. I don't know what they thought was gonna happen, like we're gonna destroy our NESs with a giant, oversized, comical mallet. I feel like if anything, it would have probably made us advance as a society faster. So yeah, they changed up the graphics of the game a little bit, they added Luigi as a playable character, and to their credit, this is actually the first time he appears as his more modern self, having different properties than Mario. He jumps a lot higher than Mario, and he also has a little bit of trouble stopping once he's running because he's so excited to come and meet you. It's the dawn of Luigi, the Luigining! But then you get to a point where, like, the squids are flying, and they don't do that in real life, so this game is literally unplayable. I also don't care to talk about it too much, because I think, more importantly, is the Super Mario Bros. 2 that we deserved. So if you lived under a rock, you might be curious, hey, wait, I did play Mario 2, and it wasn't like that. Yeah, that's because in America, they gave us this fake game, this fake gamer game that wasn't really Mario 2, and I still haven't forgiven them. But then I played it, and I instantly forgave them because this is one of the greatest games ever made in the history of the universe. You see, Nintendo had a deal with a television company at this point, and they took a game that already existed, Doki Doki Panic. I need to look this up real quick, hold on. I was right, yes, Nintendo had a deal with a television company to make a game based on their TV mascots, which were these cool dudes that I know, like, one of the names of, I think, but I can't remember. Oh, it's Imagine. Imagine is the main character, I know that at least. He's the one on the front of the box. So Nintendo didn't think the really difficult Mario 2 was gonna sell in America, so they took Doki Doki Panic, and then they brought it over to America as Super Mario Bros. 2. And it's kinda interesting, because a lot of Mario staples that still are there to this day actually come from this game. So if you think about it, Bob-ombs, Shy Guys, Birdo, I think that's pretty much it, because they threw everyone else in the trash. Ninji's back too. Those guys all wouldn't be in the Mario series if it wasn't for Doki Doki Panic. On one hand, I don't exactly consider Super Mario Bros. 2 USA to be a good sequel because it kind of throws out a lot of the stuff that was good about Mario 1 in favor of doing entirely different things. But, as we've just learned, I don't like a lot of the stuff that Mario Bros. 1 did, so this is actually a lot more fun of an experience to me. It's got more level variety, the levels definitely get more vertical as time goes on, some levels are entirely vertical, and they have a waterfall behind them, and it's gonna look horrible on YouTube because that's how compression works. We also have different world themes. We sort of had that in Mario 1, but not really. Like, you might have been able to tell, like, oh man, that bush is white now, it's winter, or the cloud's down there. In Mario 2 USA, you can actually see the different types of levels. You got deserts, you got snow places with actual snow physics that aren't actually that bad. They lead to some pretty fun little moments with the Bezos flying by and you having to, like, jump and dip, dive, duck, and dodge through all these things. I think there's actually 2 desert worlds, which kind of confuses me because there's a lot of good variety everywhere else. But then there's some levels that, like, you're in, like, a big tower and it's really neat, and I don't really know how to describe some of the other stuff. Like, there's one where there's whales, but, like, there's no whales anywhere else in the Mario franchise. So I don't know where Mario ended up he created whales in his dreams. In him's dreams. So that's a positive change in my opinion. Another change that you might see immediately upon booting up this game is that you can't jump on enemies to kill them anymore. Yeah, that was a pretty big power trip in the original, and taking that away from the player is kind of confusing considering this is a sequel. The only way you're actually beating enemies this time around is if you pick something up like a vegetable straight out of the ground and just huck it towards them. Maybe they're like the opposite of a vegetarian. Vegetables will kill them. That's actually what I am, so... don't throw that carrot at me! Speaking of these vegetables, I really like these things. They all have really funny faces on them. And you know what? Screw zodiac signs. What's your Super Mario Bros. 2 vegetable? Each world in this game only has 3 levels as opposed to 4, but each world has a different boss at the end of it. You got Mauser, you got Claw Grip, you got Triclyde, such familiar faces to me and nobody else. I really wish they would bring these guys back. I mean, look at him, he's a rat wearing sunglasses throwing bombs. Like, I didn't need him to retire and start a pizza place. Just let him throw bombs again. I'm insinuating that Chuck E. Cheese is Mauser. That's the joke. Meanwhile, in every other stage, Birdo awaits you at the end in one of 3 different colors, pink, green, or red, I believe. Now, Birdo means business. She keeps firing eggs and fireballs at you to try and get you to stop going through the land of Subcon to save the day, but all you gotta do is pick those back up and throw them back at her, and then she'll really have egg on her face. Once she gets knocked off screen and drops the crystal, you need to open the giant bird mouth so you can go to the next stage. This is a dream. This is what dreams are like. I wish my dreams were more like this, because most of the time my dreams are like, oh my god, I'm on a bus and I'm not wearing shoes, and then I'm really, really worried about it, but why would I be so worried? It's really not that big a deal. I have that one a lot. I'm like somewhere in public and I don't have shoes, and I'm like, oh, no. This game also introduces these mystical little potions you can throw down to create doors, and sometimes if you enter the opposite world, or the Shadow Realm, whatever this is, you might find a mushroom on the ground. Obviously, Mario, Luigi, Peach, or Toad will eat this mushroom, and then grow in strength. I think sometime down the road, they might find out that they have some kind of terrible parasite that might have been sitting in that mushroom, but at the time, it seemed like it was worth it because it definitely helped them beat Wart. And see, that's one problem with not having a script. I don't really have a structure for this, but yeah, the characters are all different. They all play completely differently. They have different stats. Mario is the most all-around. Luigi jumps really high, but he also is very weak when it comes to lifting vegetables out of the ground. It's a shame. Toad is the fastest and the strongest. This man can just pick vegetables up like it's nobody's business. And then the princess is the character you can play as if you want to have an easier time, because she can float and therefore get you out of a lot of trouble. But she also is very, very weak, so not a very good idea for Birdo fights. Thankfully, every time you die, you can actually change your character, so if one character's not helping you in a certain level, just go ahead and pick Luigi, because he's literally good in every single stage. Alright, here's a pretty infamous thing before I move on to the final boss. There are some sections of this game where you'll need to pick up a key and take it to a door to unlock it, and while you're running away with the key, this mask, or as I like to call it, the original source of human fear, starts flying after you to kill you because you took his house key. Phanto means business, but if you drop the key, he'll just leave you alone and you can catch your breath, so don't worry about it. Those were always really iconic moments to me because, like, even to this day when I'm playing this game, I get this primal sense of fear in my heart whenever I see one of these keys. And I think that means it was a pretty effective game mechanic. But that's pretty much it. You run through the entire game, you get to the final boss Wart, you feed him some vegetables that he is definitely allergic to, I guess, and then he dies. And I guess he really dies, because he never ever returns in this franchise, which is another shame. Unless you play the ports, that is. We've got Super Mario All-Stars again with Mario Bros. 2 USA. Really nice looking game. I think the music sounds even better, though there is not actually anything different about it that I can notice. Maybe just some control tweaks here and there, but yeah, very good version to play. The one I prefer, however, is the version that I grew up with. And seeing as how I'm 25 and not 30-something, that version is Super Mario Advance for the GBA. This is the first, unless you count Super Mario Bros. Deluxe, of a series of advanced ports, no pun intended, of the classic Mario games and Yoshi's Island. As you can see, we have a nice intro cutscene to start out the game. They have also added Super Mario Brothers to play, even though I am not interested in that even a single little tiny bit. The only thing that that's really good for is I can make Mario flip back and forth like this, and, you know, eventually he just starts staring me directly in the eyes, and he's like, "Do you think this is a game?" Don't tell him. It is. The main draw to this version is that it is a lot easier. There are health pickups all over the place. There are now giant chonker enemies that you can throw to, like, make hearts for yourself. And even with all of this stuff, I was still so bad at this game as a kid that it used to make me legitimately angry. Like, I hated this game when I was a kid, but now, I think this is one of the best Mario games. It is so much fun. Sure, the cast now make a ton of, like, sound clips every time they do anything, and I kinda want them to shut up. But they're also super iconic, so I'm kinda stuck in this weird back and forth, I hate this, I love this. And I don't know what to do. There's also a new collectible in each level, and if you collect all 5 of them in every single level, you unlock another challenge or something, but I don't have time for that right now. And on top of the changes they made in Super Mario Advance, they also added this guy to the first screen of the game, and what is this? Like, I am literally a walking Mario encyclopedia, and I don't even think this thing has a name, and it doesn't appear ever again anywhere. Like, were they just showing off what they could do with GBA sprites? Did Mario dream this up too? I mean, he dreamed up the whales, so why not that? But it's a great time, and if you're gonna play any version of this game, I would actually legitimately recommend Super Mario Advance. But now, the one that maybe everyone's been waiting for, the game that is literally one of the coolest things ever conceived in the history of video gaming, Super Mario Bros. 3! Now this one is like the game you need to have if you own an NES. We've got my fully complete box of Super Mario Bros. 3 with the Angry Video Game Nerd and Mike Matei's signatures on it. That was a wild trip. I'm just like, how can you not be happy looking at this box? Look at him! Look at him! Let's go. Now this game is the best sequel I've ever seen in video games. Because if you remember, we go from Super Mario Bros. 1, which is a game that is just pretty alright, but also takes the world by storm, to Super Mario Bros. 2 The Lost Levels, which is not very different at all, to Super Mario Bros. 2 USA, that's actually not a Mario game at all. So then we get to 1985, and they're like, hey, why don't we just make a sequel to the first game that literally improves on everything, and we add a million more things that people will love. And then, you know, like, the executive across the room is like, yeah, alright, I guess that could work. And then it just happened. We just had Super Mario Bros. 3, and oh my god, the music's amazing, the graphics are great, the enemies are super cool looking, and there's like a million levels with branching pathways and different places you can go on the map, and an item inventory screen, you can carry new power-ups around, and there's like 10 of them, and it's like, how did any of this fit on the NES? It's so good! Look at how small this cartridge is! It's like the size of an ant! Okay, alright, I gotta catch my breath here for a second because I definitely overreacted a little bit, but it's Mario 3, guys. Come on, what's not to be excited about? Once again, the game follows an 8-world structure, but this time there are even more stages per world. I think usually it's like 5 or 6. I think later stages might get up to like 6 or 7 or 8. The story goes like this. Bowser and his 7 new Koopa kids, who I will always believe are his adopted children. Miyamoto can't sway me on that. I don't care if he made them. The Koopa family takes all their flying airships, which are a pretty big deal because I haven't even seen like a regular ship in this series yet, and they go around turning kings into different creatures, and this obviously plunges the world into chaos because who's going to lead us? Not that Toad, because he's freaking the f*** out. So Mario and Luigi set off to go save all of the kingdoms from this new peril and find out how Bowser suddenly has 7 kids. I don't think you can adopt that many kids at the same time, but you know, I wouldn't know. And I don't care to know. But I am very happy for Bowser. I know he's a very good father, so I'm glad that those kids found a good home. Now this might look like you're traveling through the same exact landscapes as the previous 2 games, seeing as it's like grassland, desert land, waterland, there's one level where you start on the ground, then you go into the sky, so I guess it's Skyland. But you won't ever really feel the repetitiveness, because every single level's pretty quick, so nothing really outstays its welcome, and I would say each level has a pretty good variety of, like, what they want you to do. Like, some levels might focus more on one enemy type than another, leading to a lot more different platforming where you gotta figure out how you would approach this situation. And there's like this level in World 7 where you just like fall for the entire level and there's like nothing going on and I was really bored. But most levels are good. You know, you got iconic things like the angry sun chasing you around and you're like, dang, if the sun was that close to the earth, we wouldn't be anymore because we'd be... Of course, you got levels like the pyramid and the airships that are really iconic because they're like auto-scrollers, and it's just pretty fun to run through them as slow as possible and not have any fun. If you're me, because I hate auto-scrollers. But I almost forget about that because the presentation and the gameplay of this game are just so good. This is as close to a perfect 2D platformer as you can get until they make Super Mario World, then that is the most perfect game. Sorry, Mario 3 stands. Of course, this game also comes complete with a bunch of power-ups that have never been seen before, like the Raccoon Leaf, where it will turn Mario into a fun little flying raccoon man, even though I've definitely never seen one of these guys fly. Should have given him the power to, like, lose cotton candy in a puddle, because that's what raccoons actually do. We also have the returning Fire Flower, and also the Tanooki Suit, which is basically the raccoon suit again, except you can turn into a statue and avoid damage and even kill thwomps. I bet some of you didn't know that. And most importantly, we have the Frog Suit, which is the way they made water levels into fun stages, because now you can actually swim around really easy and precisely, as opposed to, like, tapping the A button and being like, please don't hit that, please don't hit that. And plus, you just get to be a frog, man. Like, what else could you ever want? Like, if I had that suit, I would never take it off. I think people are gonna think that's like a kink thing, because that wasn't my intention. Instead of having 7 really different bosses, this time around we just have the 7 Koopalings who act fairly similar to each other. It almost feels like a Bowser SMB1 situation, except their moves have a little bit more variety than that. In Fortresses, you'll typically come face to face with Boom Boom. This mad lad just kind of runs back and forth and flails his arm around. Sometimes he got wings, which makes it a little harder to hit him, but also he's probably the easiest enemy to deal with in the game that doesn't die in one hit, so sorry man, try a little harder. We also will come across like Hammer Brothers walking around the map sometimes, and those are technically mini bosses, I guess. But they just get you an extra item you can use on the overworld, and overworld items are actually pretty unique. Like, for example, right here you can see my NES footage that I accidentally used the warp whistle, so now I don't get to play the levels I wanted to play. I get sent to, like, World 7, and that's where I stopped having fun a little bit, because I wanted to just play through the whole thing. But anyway, doesn't matter. The point is, there's a lot of cool stuff in this game if you look around. You got some interesting secrets, you find special power-ups, the whole shebang. Eventually, you do get to Bowser, of course, because that's what the whole game's about. You get him out of there, and then the princess is safe. See, she's safe. And then we talk about remakes again, or ports. That term is not interchangeable, but I keep using it like it is, and I'm so sorry. But they are kind of ports / remakes, aren't they? Now that you know what, I'm not sorry anymore. Super Mario Bros. 3 is also on Mario All-Stars, and it again is beautiful compared to the original, even though I think the original still holds up quite a bit. Then we have Super Mario Bros. Advance 4, Super Mario Bros. 3. I don't know why that one couldn't have been Super Mario Advance 3. I would have liked them to keep it a little bit more, you know, coherent there, because it just makes me anxious. The big deal with this one is, again, you can play as Mario and Luigi. They both control differently, and that's pretty cool, but you do have to manage items between the 2 different characters, which, you know, it could get annoying if you're not a Mario expert like myself. And then the huge deal for this one is that they also added Super Mario Bros. Arcade as a secondary playable game again. Isn't that super fun and really cool and really worth it? Never mind, that's not what I was gonna say. I was just being silly. No, the actual big thing is that if you owned the e-reader Game Boy Advance accessory, which I think a whopping 9 people in the US probably had, you could scan these special cards on it, and then unlock extra content in your game, almost like a DLC, or an amiibo. It's actually a lot more like an amiibo now that I think about it. These included extra levels, and some of these levels actually had power-ups from Super Mario World in them, so you could fly around as Cape Mario in Mario 3, which feels wrong. And you might be saying, how the heck am I playing these levels? Like, am I capturing my actual GBA with my e-reader attached? No, I'm not doing that. I never owned that. What do you think I am? Exceptional? That starts with an E. In a very un-Nintendo-y turn of events, when Nintendo put up Super Mario Advance 4 on the Wii U eShop, they actually included all of this e-reader content in the game just as it is, and that's pretty strange considering Nintendo's treatment of legacy content these days. Yeah, I mean, I guess Nintendo's going through like their villain arc right now with that particular topic, but I don't need to say any more about that than other people already have. It's horrible. Who would have thought that the Wii U was the hero of the Super Mario Bros. 3 fanbase? That's actually disturbing. And then, of course, I just think the game's super pretty, and also Mario and Luigi keep yelling, "Gotcha! Let's go!" and all of that stuff. And again, I like it a little bit. Depends on what day, I guess. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I wanted to talk about that game, I think. I mean, it's fantastic. You should definitely play it, or play Super Mario World. But if you want to play this one, I would say probably play the All-Stars port, unless you're playing it on the Wii U and you can get all those extra things for Advance 4. It's a good time either way, and I think you'll have fun. That's the entire Mario trilogy coming directly out of my brain, not on a piece of paper, into this video and into your ears. I really hope that you enjoyed that. It was pretty strange. I literally feel like I am going insane, but I'm not. I just actually had a really good time just spewing compliments and having a good time. Anyway, I'm gonna end this video before I start repeating myself and crying. So, yeah, I'm gonna fade to black now, and after that happens, I'm going to... Hello everybody, my name is Markiplier. This is gonna be the worst video anyone's ever made. Alright, oh, here. I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but it's, yeah, you can't see, it's Frog on Froggy Chair from Animal Crossing. And I just think that's neat. Hello there, welcome to the end of the video. It seems you have made it. If you've made it this far, please let me know down in the comments, because now you're in the secret club, because, you know what, not a lot of people will make it to this point. I also want to know if you liked this unscripted video. I feel like it's going to be hard to do this about something I'm not as well versed in, but maybe I could try it again sometime if you liked it. And if you really liked it, you can subscribe, click the bell, follow my Twitter, and join the Discord to keep up with more Mario and other things that aren't Mario, because I do a lot of things. I'd also like to give a huge thank you to my current supporters, who I am now going to read off this list, thus making the video title false. Thank you to Noah Wizbios, Chaotic Mercenary, Brady Hilkemeyer, Jaden the Hedgehog, Kaido the Samurai, Danny Lee Dauber, Mike TGC, J. Romy, Mailman019, Dax, T-Bone APH, The 7 Superstars, Crystal, Ty Little Tech Guy, PM13, Chaos, Dork in a Hat, Mega Traffic Cone, and on Patreon we have Noah Wizbios again, and John the Real Wawa Luigi. Also, thank you to everyone who's supporting me in the $1 tiers, because that also helps a lot and gets you access to a ton of members-exclusive content that is, I am now remembering, up there in the card. Like I mentioned, you can check out my live playthrough of some of these games from today by checking out that card. And also, there's like a whole bunch of blooper videos you can watch from some previous videos, so it's a good time. If any of that sounds enticing and you would like to become a member, you can either click up there for my Patreon or the join button below the video. And remember, you're helping me out a lot, so I really appreciate it. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.